Jeff Peterson and the Charlotte Hornets cooking right at the NBA trade deadline. Collin Sexton out. Coby White in. What does it all mean? We make sense of it all today on an emergency pod. Live, Hive Live, baby. Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We are free and available anywhere you get your pods, and that includes YouTube. If you're watching us, hopefully you clicked on the link, following us on Twitter at Walker Mehl, at Locked On Hornets, at Doug Branson, LOH. If you're watching us, you're seeing Doug freak out. Doug Branson, go check out his Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Also, Yahoo Sports Daily with Caroline Fenton and Jason Fitz. But Super Bowl takes a back seat to Collin Sexton for Coby White trades around here. I'm Walker Mehl. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday.
Oh, we are live.
What?
I couldn't wait.
Was that Topo?
That was Topo. That was Topo.
Okay.
I couldn't wait. I wanted to wait. I didn't want to interrupt you because people get really mad when I interrupt you, but I just could not. I could not contain the Topo because we're live and they traded for Coby White.
Wes and Walker, 12 to 3 every weekday, Sports Radio 92.7 WFNZ. There are no rules for emergency pods, so you do not have to abide by them. You can interrupt me if you want to, unless I show a face where I'm clearly annoyed, then don't. But I'm not annoyed. It's an emergency pod. Everything is okay. I hurried over here. I got back to the Locked On Hornets studios as fast as I could. I pulled out in front of oncoming traffic at the intersection on Moorhead next to Pinky's. I thought I had enough room. I couldn't see the oncoming car. The lady pulled up right beside me afterwards. She flipped me off. This is a true story.
She said,
Topo!
Gave
me the bird. Gave me the bird. Flipped me off before I got onto the highway. I'm sorry, ma'am. The Hornets traded for Coby White. I have to record an emergency podcast. There's no time to waste. Shams tweeted out about an hour and a half ago, just in, the Chicago Bulls are trading Coby White and Mike Conley Jr. to the Charlotte Hornets for Collin Sexton, Ousmane Dieng, and 3 second-round picks, sources tell ESPN. Now, some pretext here. The Hornets acquired Dieng and a second-rounder from the Oklahoma City Thunder for Mason Plumlee, sources told Shams. Dieng was then rerouted to Chicago amid multiple transactions. Coby White, North Carolina extraordinaire.
Are you saying Coby or are you saying Colby?
Colby, C-O-L-B. C-O-L-B-Y. Okay? Colby, whatever. Thank you for calling
Colby. Is it cheese? Is he a cheese or is he a Hornet? I love you. I'm so excited.
It's Coby White, and you said
we joked about it. We joked about it pre-show. Listen, here's the thing you have to understand. There's a lot going on right now. There are Diengs and there are Cobys and there are Colbys.
It's Coby
and
White.
There's a lot going on.
I'm sorry. I've seen this man play a million different times. I'm a little flustered right now. It's Coby White. I appreciate you for stopping me, though. Thank you very much. It's only live. Coby White has been with the Bulls after being drafted by Chicago in 2019. He was one and done out of North Carolina, averaging 19.5 points per game, 45, 37, 86 shooting over the last 3 years, 53% on twos. He'll be 26 years old on February 16th, which is President's Day. Now he's a Charlotte Hornet. Doug, what are your thoughts on Coby White?
This is insane. It's insane value. The Hornets having to give up 2 second-round picks, got one back in return. A lot of the details are going to be fuzzy in terms of the picks that are going back through. But just to acquire someone of Coby White's talent and the fact that it still is an expiring contract leaves them flexibility to possibly re-sign him. I think that Coby White, look, Collin Sexton was good in a lot of areas. He was somebody that could get downhill. The Hornets didn't have a lot of those guys, although Coby White plays a lot at the rim too. But Coby White's 6'5". This gives them size, and I think it gives them somebody that could possibly be just a generally better fit than Collin Sexton was. And also somebody that's younger, and the fact that you could do this, and he was a desirable player had been in many a trade discussion where teams were actively trying to acquire Coby White. And the Bulls were saying, no, we're trying to build something here. We're not going to do that. And now they are, because it looks like they are in complete fire sale mode to pivot whatever trajectory they were on. The Hornets take advantage of it, and they do it in a way that continues to allow them to make moves in the future. Just incredible asset management by Jeff Peterson. And I think Coby White just makes this offense, the defense had gotten figured out, and it makes this offense even more, I think, interesting, even more beautiful.
So Collin Sexton, it just felt like he was going to move on past the deadline. It's been a prediction of mine for quite some time. Didn't feel like the vibes were right around here. Felt like Collin Sexton was brought in to still help this team reach as much potential as they possibly could after you got great value for him. Sending Nurkic, who you also got a first-round pick attached to when you traded Nurkic to the Utah Jazz. And then you got Collin Sexton in exchange for him, and we all thought clearly the better player. We'll see exactly what happens in the offseason once Collin Sexton plays a year here in Charlotte. We all really liked that trade. So now what you've done is you full-on flipped what you got with Jusuf Nurkic, a first-rounder, and then you go in and you get Coby White. And here's what happened with Bobby Marks and Brian Windhorst earlier today on NBA Today. Bobby Marks said the Hornets prioritized Coby in free agency, and they wouldn't have been able to sign him if they didn't trade for him here, which is interesting. This is more of a move to re-sign him in the offseason. And Wendy then responded with, this is a move to show that they are ramping up. He's a spark plug off of the bench.
Yep.
And probably will be going into the future for Charlotte. So it does feel like these insiders have talked to people within Charlotte. I don't know this to be sure, but it does feel like this is a move for the long term, bringing in Coby with Collin, who was also on an expiring deal. Coby White only making like $12.5 million, $5 million difference, but both on expiring contracts. So you still have flexibility. You're not linked to him long term if you don't want to be, but it does kind of seem like Charlotte wants the inside track to re-sign him this offseason, and possibly wouldn't have been able to do it had they not traded for him. Just because maybe they didn't have the inside track, he'd go somewhere else, and who knows. So we'll see exactly what takes place. But the Hornets, they've coveted Coby White for a long time.
Yeah, and this is a go-for-it move. This is a move where they said, look, these wins, this level of defensive effort that these young guys are playing with, the development of some of the pieces, the instant offense that Con Knippel has provided and the instant playmaking that he's provided allows this kind of move to happen and make sense. But the best part of it is they wait to make this move until all of that happens, plus they get the good fortune of Chicago finally coming to its senses and understanding that what they were doing was not going to get them anywhere beyond the 10th seed in the Eastern Conference and nowhere near playoff success. So now the Hornets take advantage, and this is what happens when you build up assets and build up relationships and help to facilitate moves elsewhere. You find these opportunities to involve OKC, who you've dealt with before. I can't believe OKC is still trading with the Hornets. I mean, I can't. Like, we gave them Gordon Hayward and got some huge pieces. That Trey Mann was great after the trade deadline when they made that move, and then, it's just like, it's crazy that OKC continues to deal with Charlotte, but I love it. And so they wait until this perfect moment to execute this move. And I think, like, to me, I don't think they're done. I think they're going to make a move for a big and continue to push this thing. This isn't the, like, go out and get the star move. This is, let's maximize what the team has now. Let's make sure that we're putting a full-throated effort into allowing this core of LaMelo, Brandon, Con, Miles to give it their best shot. Let's not leave anything on the table. And then when we get to the offseason, we say, okay, now what?
So there's a lot going on here. One, the question is, do you feel like Coby is an upgrade over Collin this year to ramp up for play-in/playoff chances? Just how much of an upgrade do you think he is? There are numbers to suggest that he's not over Collin Sexton. They both have expiring contracts. You do have $5 more million freed up by sending Collin's contract to Chicago for the remaining 30 games. Perhaps this means they're not done. It's my favorite thing during trade deadline season. They're not done. There's another move a-coming. I do wonder, with all the Lonzo Ball chatter, if now sending 3 second-round picks Chicago's way, the second-round picks are all future second-round picks. They're the least favorable, which means that's pretty good. Thumbs up on Jeff Peterson's part. If they're going to have second-round picks attached to Lonzo Ball coming here to Charlotte, that's something interesting to where you just replenish those anyway. And going through Twitter, seeing some of the other opinions about what this move means for Charlotte and Chicago, but clearly focusing on the Hornets' part. I think, speaking of messing up names, I don't know if this is Yossi Goslin. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but he hosts a show I'll reference here in just a moment. But he tweeted this out. The Hornets still have 11 second-round picks remaining after getting Coby White. They also still have one of the biggest first-round pick surpluses with 11 over the next 7 drafts. And the Hornets essentially flip Yusuf Nurkic, who they got for a first for taking on, with some seconds for Coby White. Unreal. They got a first for taking on, I should say. So, like, just the asset management here, I've talked about this quite a bit. It does feel like Jeff continue to make good moves with.
Oh, what happened? Did we lose your mic? Looks like we might have lost your mic there. I can still hear you, but it seems like maybe jiggle the handle, jiggle the cord. I don't know.
You're gonna have to talk for me here for a second while I try to figure it out. Maybe.
Okay. All right. You figure out the tech. I will say that I agree with you. The asset management is incredible. But to your point, I want to show another tweet to your point about was it an upgrade or not. So 3-point percentages, like it seems like 39% to 34% in favor of Collin Sexton. So Collin Sexton, a better 3-point shooter, but I think we're going to see Coby be someone that's going to be more of a plus on the offensive end. He was in Chicago, and that was I think a more trying situation in Chicago offensively than he's going to deal with here. And you can see Owen O'Connor tweeting, the Hornets are replacing somebody who was a minus 5.9 in their on-off splits with someone who is a plus 4.1. Even better, they're going from a minus 5.6 offensive rating when Sexton is in to a 5.8 when Coby White is in. And that's where I think some of the fit issues come in, where, and we'll see. I mean, Collin Sexton, it seemed like wanted to dominate the offense a little bit more than was necessary and struggled to facilitate to others. We'll see if Coby White, who has a high assist percentage himself, will be more amenable to that as opposed to looking for his own offense. But I think also he'll be a more consistent scorer than I think Collin Sexton was. And we'll see about the turnover issues if they get any better, because they certainly were an issue when Sexton was on the floor. All right, I'm going to check in with Walker and see if we've got.
How is this? Is this
better?
It's
beautiful. All
yeah,
the
okay,
tones,
we got it figured out.
The baritones, I'm hearing them all. Please continue.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, do you want to take a break and then come back and then focus a little bit more on what's going on?
I love that.
All right, let's do it. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast. More seamless transitions, more name correct pronunciations, more just pure on flawless broadcasting from the Locked On Hornets podcast by Doug Branson and specifically yours truly. Still to come, LOH. Just went on autopilot, man. Why was I making him cheese? What? He's
now,
not cheese.
But see, the
He's
problem
not
is
cheese.
the problem is if you're okay with it, I would like to now make all of the Hornets cheese. This is what we're good at. We should just lean in and just make all of the Hornets cheese now.
Le Munster Ball.
Yes! Yes! Make it into content.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, like skills, certifications, and location. If I were hiring, I wouldn't just want someone who can help. I want someone with real experience who can jump right in and help the right way. That's what I like about Indeed. You can get specific and you can target exactly what you need. It saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches, and with sponsored jobs, your post gets seen by candidates who are actually a fit. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. This episode is also brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert just for $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Let me tell you about the Everydayers Club. The NBA trade deadline's basically here. We want to give you a free month of our new Everydayer Club to help you get ready. Give you a free month if you just chime in right now. If you need a group chat to keep up with the chaos, you can join ours. The Everydayer Club gets you access to a group chat on Discord just for Hornets fans, plus national chats where you can hang out with fans from across the league. You can also get ad-free versions of this show. If you sign up by the trade deadline, which is tomorrow, you can use code DEADLINE to get your first month free. Tap the link in the show notes to learn more. So the Collin Sexton part of this, I talked about it a little bit, right? It did not feel like Collin Sexton was working as well as we thought it would when the Hornets acquired him from Utah. They had been needing a bunch of guards to help out when LaMelo would go to the bench. And in this weird kind of reality, what we've seen is that the Hornets, when LaMelo goes to the bench, it felt like they were more prepared than ever. They went out and they got Spencer Dinwiddie for good measure, who eventually didn't even make the roster to begin the season. They go out and they get Collin Sexton. They have Sion James eventually pass all of those guys as the guard that Charles Lee trusts more in the situations where LaMelo is not out there on the court with the starters or the bench unit. It was Sion James that had the basketball in his hands quite a bit. Trey Mann not even getting any playing time after, they signed him to a 3-year, $8 million annual deal. So it's been weird to see how the guard plan, while that was so specific to what they wanted to do, they wanted to make sure they got a bunch of ball handlers. Trey's not playing. Collin Sexton's not a Hornet anymore. And we have a new guy now that is a guard with the Hornets. So it's just kind of interesting to see how the experience all played out. And in terms of who's better, who's the upgrade, whatever, right? If you look at some of the stats, if you look at some of the efficiency, you might point to Collin and say that he's a better player. And look, the spot-up shooting is good. It's always been low volume. That's a big difference for both of these players. Coby White takes a lot of threes, a ton of them, 7.5 per game. Collin Sexton doesn't take a whole lot of threes. Makes more at a higher clip, I should say. Coby is about 37% over the last 3 years. Shooting is down a little bit this season, below 35%. So the shooting was favoring Collin. Coby is a bigger basketball player, depending on who you ask. Remember the whole height discrepancy stuff with Collin, with the how tall is he? Here he's 6'3", there he's 6'2". In reality, he's probably about like 6 feet, 6'1", and there was the huge drop off with some of the updated measurements coming into the season. So Coby is a bigger basketball player, but they're kind of similar, Doug. Like Coby gets to the foul line. He's going to the foul line, shooting 5 attempts per game. That's 1 full free throw attempt, a little bit more than what Collin is giving us at this point. He's a pretty good shooter, above 80%, has reached 90 before, about 86 over the last 3 years, as I just mentioned. The turnovers for both guys aren't great. They do turn it over. I think for me, I think Coby's just a little more controlled on drives. And I think if you want more control, I think Coby is that guy for you more so than it is Collin, who would do some great stuff for us in the half court, just winning by beating you off of the dribble and being faster than you. But Coby's really fast. He's big and strong, and both of them are fearless. It just feels like there's a little more control from Coby than there is Collin on a consistent, more frequent basis. And if the Hornets really coveted him, like Bobby Marks and Brian Windhorst are alluding / outright saying that they coveted him in a possible free agent signing this offseason, then it makes sense to give up a few second-round picks and Collin Sexton to go after your guy.
69th percentile in layups. Nice. 70th percentile frequency. He gets to the rim a lot. So, yeah. And 25 years old on an expiring contract, plenty of room to re-sign him. It doesn't kill. I think they took on like $5 million or so more in this deal. So there's still room to maneuver if they do want to make a second move to fill out their big rotation. And from Goldsboro, kind of somewhat home state kid, and I think it will pile a few more people into Spectrum Center. There will be a little bit more excitement around that. You offset all of the Duke acquisitions with a little UNC acquisition. I'm surprised. That's the most shocking part to me. That Schnall and Schlotkin would go and acquire somebody from UNC instead of bringing a kid from Duke. But I think this is going to be good for the vibes. I think it's going to be good for just shaking up that rotation. I mean, here's what you have to understand. This is the only thing to understand is that when in those few moments that they benched LaMelo Ball, they didn't go to Collin Sexton to be the backup point guard.
Right.
They went to Sion James, the rookie. I mean, that does say something. Like, Charles Lee is not immune from making mistakes. In fact, I think benching LaMelo Ball was one of those mistakes. But I suspect that they did that. They had their reasons, at least, for doing that. And so now they get another shot here at the combo guard position to try out Coby White for the rest of the season and see if they can make a gel.
It's actually kind of hard to see some statistical differences between these two. You have to go through some, pretty heavy analytics sites. Like, we have Synergy. Thank you, Locked On Podcast Network. But we can go to Synergy and we can see some differences in terms of what Collin is better at than Coby and vice versa. So the shooting is favoring Collin right now, and he's always been to get a good low volume shooter. We've had conversations about, should we just kind of see an uptick in the amount of field goal attempts that Collin takes? And the misses, it feels bad, but also the efficiency is better from Collin beyond the arc. One thing that I'll say is a pretty big difference. If you just look at some of the we got to have a bucket here possessions after timeouts, out of bounds plays, can you go make something happen for us? It's interesting when you go to Synergy, like out of bounds plays, like blob and slob, baseline and sideline out of bounds plays for those that don't know. After timeouts, last 4 seconds of the shot clock, Collin ranked poor to average to poor, okay? If you go to Coby and what he's done, he was excellent to average in every single one of those categories. Excellent being looking at what he could do after timeouts, 59 possessions on ATOs. So that's not nothing. When you're discussing LaMelo sitting on the bench and needing somebody to go get a bucket for you, right? Coby has put up better numbers in those set design plays, gotta have it after timeout, right? Like, it's such a momentum killer when you call a timeout and you come up empty-handed on the next possession. I actually thought this showed up in a huge way this last game against the Pelicans, where nobody was benefiting from timeouts. They would call one and then they wouldn't make a bucket. So, like, maybe that's something different here too when you're talking about what Coby can do for a basketball team.
Some news on the Ball front, not LaMelo Ball, but Lonzo Ball just traded to the Utah Jazz for Lonzo Ball and 2 second-round picks to the Utah Jazz. So a lot of people had Lonzo connected to Charlotte. I thought when the Coby deal was announced that sort of put the kibosh on that. Like, I don't know that acquiring Lonzo Ball and Coby White makes much sense, though I guess it's still a question mark because I don't think Lonzo's going to hang out in Utah. It says here, even in the write-up, that Ball's agent Rich Paul and the Jazz are expected to discuss his future soon. So it's still a question mark, but I would think it would be very unlikely that the Charlotte Hornets would make a move to acquire a free agent or waived Lonzo Ball.
Well, that is true, right? Like, I think you would want to replenish your second round picks that you just lost to go after Coby, right? That's the idea, because Lonzo is on an expiring deal. He's got a team option for next year, but you don't pick it up. You're not going to pay him $10 million. So if that's the case, then, I will say you have a day left, right? It's 4:47 February 4th. So you have less than 24 hours to pull off another trade. What I would say is perhaps Trey Mann could be on his way out. I'm not sure, but it doesn't feel like that would happen. And who knows? You could see somebody else on their way out. I'm not sure who else that would be. But that might be the reason to go after Lonzo, is because of the second round picks that you would be able to replace the second round picks that you just lost. So what are you laughing at?
I can't confirm this stat, but this person just tweeted that the Hornets now have 4 of the top 25 players in 3-point attempts on the same team. It's Coby, Con, LaMelo.
Yeah, Brandon Miller would be the other one.
Yeah, so
I mean, if that is indeed true, which
they're
I
gonna
can
be
look at that here
chucking,
real quickly.
baby. But honestly, like, that brings up an interesting point. What did we say about Charles Lee in year 1 of his coaching adventure? What is one of the things that we said about Charles Lee? And it was this, that he was trying to install a 3-point attempt heavy offense onto a team that was not ready to do that. And the offensive results sort of mirrored that. And then they backed off of it towards the middle of that first season. But like, they came out chucking, and just the shooters weren't there. And we said, look, it's a great idea in theory, but Chef Jeff has to get on the phone and make sure that they acquire players that allow that kind of offense, the sort of Boston Celtics. We're going to play the math game. We're going to get up a ton of threes, and most nights it's going to work for us. There might be some nights where we put up an embarrassing, percentage from 3 and lose, but we're just going to out-math you. And with the addition of Coby White, the drafting of Con Knipple, the minutes management to try to keep LaMelo healthy, and Brandon Miller looking like all-NBA Brandon Miller, it's all of a sudden looking like they have the team that matches the offense that Charles Lee actually wants to run, and that should be exciting to everyone.
Yeah, and by the way, I do see, right, I know that Lonzo was eventually waived. I know that he was traded to the Jazz and then eventually waived.
Just so talking that's about official. Great.
Yeah, it is official. So I'm seeing it from Shams. It's just I saw it in the chat. I'm trying to focus on a lot here. So Shams
things are happening, folks.
They are. Goodness gracious. Cavs traded Lonzo to the Jazz. Shams then says the Jazz are expected to waive Alonzo Ball, allowing him to be a free agent. So that did happen. That's coming in within the last 5 minutes. So, I mean, I would agree with you. Right now that you can't get second-round picks, then if you brought him in, it would all be for LaMelo. It would all be for
rotation. Like, that doesn't even make any sense to me.
Yeah, I guess the other question, too, is would you have wanted to – because the Cavs have agreed to trade Lonzo and 2 second-round picks to Utah. So were you not going to welcome him for anything less than that? Anyways. Let's talk about some other stuff here, because there are some other interesting things to discuss. The Mike Conley part of it as well could be bought out and on his way out. But do you want Mike Conley? Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
He's everywhere!
Yeah, we'll provide some finishing touches on some of the trade chatter surrounding the Hornets' latest move in going after Coby White and trading Collin Sexton to go get him. And we'll discuss what could be on the horizon over the next day before we get to that 4 p.m. deadline. Coming up next, final segment, LOH. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Thanks, FanDuel. We always appreciate your support. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. One more segment to go. LOH. Yeah, you want to address the Mike Conley part here, because there are some tweets, there's some speculation that Mike Conley will get bought out and then be free to go sign right back with Minnesota. So that could be interesting. I will say, do you want him on the team, Doug Branson? That would be interesting to me, just because of what we've seen from a lack of point guard. Even if you signed all of the guards, it never felt like you had a legitimate backup point guard, because this has been the problem for the Hornets forever long. Is Mike Conley worth somebody, is worth keeping to you? If the money makes sense, I got to look up the contract and stuff. But Mike Conley, the idea of going after a backup point guard that you can trust, maybe running with the starters for offense, would you like the idea of that archetype player?
I mean, I kind of, but I don't know that it makes, again, I don't know that it makes sense. Like, who are you currently dropping out of the rotation that isn't, to make room for both Coby White and Mike Conley? That would be the question, without losing a lot of size. I don't know. Like, it's nothing against Mike Conley, although he is getting up there in age. I just think that it makes more sense, like the idea of rerouting Conley, who was traded to the Bulls and now via being traded twice can now be waived and then re-signed with Minnesota. That doesn't make much sense to me.
So do you think, I guess my question would be, is he just the best option to help you when LaMelo's on the bench? That would be the thing. Do you trust him running the offense, helping you out more than Sion? To me, I would say yes to that. Now, he's making $10 million. So that's $10 million plus the 12 that Coby is making. So that's 22. That's $4 more million than you had with Collin on the payroll. That leaves you with about, I think, 10 million, just doing the math on the top of my head. So, like, you could do it if you wanted to. The rotation piece of it would be Collin and Coby. That's just, all right, you flip those guys. So now Coby gets Collin's minutes. And then, yeah, Josh Green, Sion. It feels like they're creating one player into two with both of those guys. Conley, I would like it. I wouldn't be, opposed to it unless Mike just wants to go back to Minnesota and compete for a championship, which is what they're trying to do.
Again, I don't think the Hornets are trying to compete for a championship, and I don't. Sure. Honestly, I think this is, they're pushing. Obviously, this is like, hey, we're going. We want to get this core play-in experience for sure, but we really want to get this. This to me signals we really want to get them a playoff series and get that experience for these young guys. But I would rather see them do that while developing Sion James. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't want Mike Conley running the offense at the expense of valuable time. Like, Sion can hang on a floor. Is he the best? Obviously not. Like, we've seen the offense dip dramatically when LaMelo is off the floor and Sion is in his place. But I think there's some development that can happen, and I don't want to see that dropped at the expense of having Mike Conley, is what I'm saying. Now, here's what's interesting. Another name has popped up all day long around the Charlotte Hornets, and that's Goga Bitadze of the Orlando Magic, big man. There have been multiple reports that the Charlotte Hornets are in discussions about a potential trade involving Bitadze. His contract right now, he makes $8.3 million this season. Next season, he'll make $7.6 million. That feels like a perfect Trey Man swap, or possibly, if they have any more, depending on how this trade shakes out and what they use exceptions for, possibly even don't need to move Trey Man, although it could benefit them to move Trey Man in that they open up an extra year of not having to pay someone $8 million. Your thoughts on adding Bitadze as the big for their center rotation depth?
So you would have a big man that can shoot.
Batase?
I kind of
doesn't attempt many. Maybe he's hit a few.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I thought there was a little bit more. They tried it earlier on in his career, and then eventually we just decided we're not going to do that anymore with Batase. So in terms of shooting, you still wouldn't even be getting all that much with Batase.
No.
My experience with him is, having watched him try to make a run out of it with Indiana, I know that they liked him well enough as a backup big that would give you 15 minutes a game. For Goga, without having like a real scouting report, clearly, like I still was just living in Indiana Pacers land on surface level thoughts with Goga Batase, with him attempting to shoot, not working so well. And so now he just doesn't take a lot and doesn't hit a lot when he does take some of the threes. So really it's, do you want to try to go after a big that is better at hitting threes? Like for me, I thought of a Thomas Bryant, like just in terms of
I love
center.
Thomas Bryant.
Yeah, like that, just somebody that is a, deep on the bench kind of guy that could come in and still play really hard, but also has the ability to knock down corner threes, to knock down threes in general every once in a while. So is that somebody that you would go after, or just that archetype, right? Batase, that I'd rather just have Musa and Kalkbrenner get all of the minutes, unless you're just talking about a third center that can help you out in the case of injury. And in that case, sure, that makes sense. I just don't know if I'd be giving up what would be the play. 2 second rounders, I don't know. 3, I don't know what it would be for Orlando in that regard.
I don't care what they give up or what they don't give up. That's not what it's about for me. I just can't bear another big that can't shoot. I have been on this hill for too long. I have a house on the hill. I have a couple of houses on this hill now. I've made a nice soybean farm on this hill now.
Ooh, nice.
Like the edamame is great. You got to try it. Listen.
Is it a dairy farm with Coby White?
No, I'm making Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Okay. Okay. I will. I'll take some if you don't mind. Some crackers as well. Go to Batase, not another shooting big.
I can't do it. I can't do it. Maybe, look, he might add some rim protection that's a little bit faster of foot than Ryan Kalkbrenner, a little bit more experience. Although Kalkbrenner, man, look, if Goga can switch a little bit more, because, God, with Ryan Kalkbrenner on the floor, like he was great in that game against the Spurs, like block shots everywhere. But, man, if you can get him out near the perimeter, he is dead meat. So if Goga helps there, I wouldn't hate it. I just wouldn't love it. I just wish they could go out and try to find some kind of big that has even the potential to shoot. And I'm not sure that's Batase. I know I'm asking a lot because, those players are valuable. The bigs that can shoot are players that do command some weight. Like, you're not going to go out and get Miles Turner. You're not going to pry Miles Turner from Milwaukee and and that's the thing. Like we've seen in all of these moves, Jeff Peterson go out there and they prioritize waiting until the perfect moment. They prioritize value. And yet, we're all celebrating. I think most people are celebrating this Coby White deal. And yet still we're waiting on the one Jeff Peterson move where he takes a risk, where he moves a first round pick, where he says, I'm going to go out and get a player of value that I have to give up value to go and get. And so I hope at some point that's for some kind of shooting big, because it is the one missing piece that they really need to fill. Goga wouldn't do that, and it's an extra $8 million. Again, if they did it for Trey Mann, you're essentially saving $8 million down the road. But yeah, I just wouldn't be a huge fan of it.
Okay, final question. Do you think this is the biggest move that they make going after Coby for Collin Sexton?
Man, I tend to think so. I think even if it's not Goga, I don't see them making a move for Jared Allen. But there's so much I just said it. Like, we haven't seen the Jeff Peterson move where they take the risk. I still think that all of that happens next offseason. I still think it's like we went from the team is, second inning of a 9-inning ball game. And then this offseason into the beginning part of the season, it was now we're getting more serious about winning. And now I think with this trade deadline, because of them being the hottest team in basketball, you're seeing them now transition into not only were we serious about winning, were serious about making some kind of postseason noise. But I don't think they're in the, because of just how many games they are still behind, I don't think it would be prudent to say, oh no, we got to push all of our chips into the table. This is what the Wizards did, right? The Wizards going out and getting Trae Young and AD and sacrificing, even though the AD first round picks were sort of doo-doo picks. They the Hornets have by the way, the Hornets have a Mavericks first round pick that's top 2 protected in 2027. That thing all of a sudden looks uber valuable. So, I think Jeff, I feel like still Peterson and Presti, Peterson's feeling is Presti, and he's going to be patient like Presti. And, I don't see another huge move, but man, so many unknowns because Jeff's in the kitchen. You're asking me what kind, is he going to bring out a gourmet meal? He'll definitely he's bringing something out, but is he going to bring out the gourmet meal yet? I'm not sure he's ready, but man, whatever's in there is smelling good.
No, it is. Maybe Miles Bridges is smelling a little bit better than Ryan Kalkbrenner.
The cheese game was tough. Trust me, I've been working on it all show behind the scenes. We did like cheddar. There's no good. Maybe I should have been checking the chat the whole time. Maybe the folks in the chat have been throwing them in there. I apologize if you have. But I just haven't been able to find a good cheese name for con. Like, I don't know. Wisconsin cheddar? Wisconsin cheddar? That's a thing, right? Wisconsin cheddar?
We're kind of making it one, I guess. I just keep going back to brie. Brie, man. It's all brie. That's the easiest one to go with, so that's what I keep going after. Do you want to read some comments in the chat and then call it a day?
Man. There's been so many of them.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Let's see. Ernest Wingett says, the question is, can Coby step in and give us equal production as Sexton did while not turning the basketball over? I think he can go heels. Let's see.
He's been turning it over a decent amount. He's right around the same turnover percentage as Collin Sexton is this year.
Now, Mick Huff too says, Doug, I wouldn't want to give up Musa for a big that can shoot. Most bigs can't guard 1 through 5. I'm not saying give up Musa. In fact, I'm not even saying don't start Musa. You keep starting Musa. You cannot mess with this starting lineup right now. It's one too many games, and you just keep on keeping on. I'm talking about bringing in someone off the bench that, so that's why the Miles Turner thing doesn't make any sense. That's why there are a lot of moves, Jared Allen included, that would make a lot of sense. I guess if things weren't going so well if they had won 7 games in a row and it was because like a mixture of the bench production in the starting lineup, maybe you could make a case. It's like, that Musa thing is still sort of getting exposed. You got to go after Jared Allen. But that starting lineup is just like destroying teams. You cannot mess with it. I'm fully bought in on seeing this starting lineup until it screams otherwise. But you can definitely improve your big rotation because you just exited Mason Plumlee. Now you're down to, you're going to have to call up PJ Hall if there's any kind of injury. Like, you got to do something, honestly.
Breon James has been right there the whole time.
Briante Weber.
Yeah. There's a bunch of Brees.
That's a sicko name, though. He doesn't currently play for the Hornets.
It's my favorite sicko name that exists. If I were to pick one sicko name, it would be Briante Weber. That'll do it for kind of a wild emergency pod.
Mozzarella ball.
I was looking at like McNeely, there's a McCheesy. That's stupid. There's nothing there. There's
Mozzarella. I'm reading these. I should give the people credit. Out of time 9836 says, I'm just stealing them. Out of time 9836 says Mozzarella.
Mozzarella is it. That's it. Okay, thank
Joshua
you.
Fultz says La Mozzarella ball. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal those. I'm firing off the hip here.
No, Mozzarella, that's the best one that we have. You win, sir, whoever typed in Mozzarella. Coby White is not the right answer. Mozzarella, that is the right answer. The Hornets did trade for Coby White. We'll see how he looks. They play the Rockets tomorrow. Will be interesting. I don't think he'll suit up. I don't think. We'll see. It seems like too much of a quick turnaround, but the Hornets do play the Rockets tomorrow on the road. I'm sure there's a lot of paperwork trying to get him in, whatever happens there. But Coby White is a Charlotte Hornet after there were a lot of people that wanted the Hornets to draft him all the way back in 2019. Eventually it didn't happen because he goes to the Bulls in the top 10. I will say, speaking of asset management, that's a tough pill to swallow for Chicago fans. A guy that has clearly always shown talent that I think Bulls fans have always really liked. They turn Coby, a top 10 selection, into Collin Sexton and 3 very future second-round picks, and it's the least likely, it's the least favorable, I should say, 3 second-round picks that the Hornets have, with a couple of different scenarios in there that I won't bore you with. But not great asset management, just not a great trend overall for Chicago after selecting in the lottery.
Let me do this because I did put out an all call to the Sicko Brigade. Join subtext.com/@LockedOnHornets. That's the best way to get your comments read on air because we don't always go live. In fact, we don't go live very often. So join subtext.com/LockedOnHornets for a free trial. That's where our Sicko Satchel lives. That's where the Sicko Brigade is. So let me get a few of these comments off too. This one from 864. The Michael Jordan fan in me wants to throw something at a wall for getting another Tobacco Road player. The Schlotkin fan in me is having to do a lot of work reassuring old me that everything is okay, that the wounds have been healed, that this is, in fact, a good move. Well, 864, listen, we talk about it all the time. There's trauma. Trauma is real, and we have to recognize it. But we also, once we recognize it, that's step one. And step two is to say, you don't have power over me anymore, Mitch Kupchak. You don't, the Hornets did something. You don't have power over me anymore. I can move forward because the Charlotte Hornets are moving forward and they want to win, baby. And they want to do it right now. And they want to spend money. They don't want to spend draft picks. They want to spend money to win. They just took on $5 more million. Can you imagine the previous organization doing that?
All right, that'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your midday listen and then maybe your first listen afterwards. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast. That does include YouTube. Doug Branson, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Go check it out. Also, Yahoo Sports Daily with Jason Fitz and Caroline Fenton. And I'm Walker Mehl. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Sports Radio 92.7 FM. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.
Salute Plum Dog Millionaire. Salute Collin Sexton. And we'll read more of these comments tomorrow.